You're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
4 seconds left. In front. Happy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the first Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to RBLR Lightning. As always, my name is Dick Richter. Alongside me, it's Shogun Taro. It's Matt Cannon. Guys, welcome back to the show. We got more Lightning hockey to talk about. Unfortunately, well, there's some ups and downs this week. Really, it's just been a weird start to the season for the Lightning, but we're going to get into it all. Appreciate everybody tuning in live with us once again. Already seen some people jumping in the comments. I know you guys are excited for the 3 stars. We'll get there. Don't worry. But first and foremost, before we get into everything, guys, how you doing today?
Oh man, if you're not already part of the chat, you guys got to jump in and especially on YouTube and participate. Doing pretty well. Some rough hockey to break down, but still glad to get into it. Some exciting moments for sure.
Yeah, some high highs and some low lows, but it should make for a fun show. It should make for a very unique show. So I'm happy to get into it.
I'm against you, Matt. I don't want unique shows. I want just boring talking about wins every single time. Why can't we do that? Anyway, well, let's get right into it. We got a lot of high Lightning hockey to talk about. The Lightning have been dealing with a lot of injuries, by the way. The injury bug has hit them hard. There was a point they were without. There were like 6 guys, I think, that were out in total. You got Paul, Hedman, McDonough, Hagel, Sorelli. There's a lot of guys that are out. James also, he's out with injuries too. Some of them have come back. Some of them are starting to come back, which is going to help the Lightning in the future. But they are dealing with those injuries right now. First game we got to talk about, though, is the one against the New York Rangers. Lightning, looking to continue their hot streak overall. They've been playing some really good hockey in general, but this one, boy, was this just a bad game. Well, really, I should say it was it wasn't even it was a bad start to this game. I mean, just utter disaster right from the puck drop. Lightning lose it by a final score of 7-3, but they went down 2-0 almost immediately. They end up at one point down 3-1 in this game, and Cooper has to call a timeout. And you never see that, by the way. Cooper rarely calls timeouts in general, so even that is a red flag. Lightning do get back into it and make it a 1-goal game at one point, but then the Rangers really take over from the second period on. They win this one 7-3, guys.
What a crazy game to start that first. Those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 goals in the first period. It looked to be just a complete shootout between the teams, but like you said, once that second period came around, there just wasn't really much that the Lightning could do. It kind of reminds me of some of the games from earlier in the season where they didn't play a full 60 minutes. They showed up for part of it, and the rest of the game they just kind of got, I don't know if I'd say dominated, because they did have quite a few shots on goal, but they just didn't. They couldn't put it all together, and I mean the Rangers have that record for their away games where they're just so good on the road, and I guess the Lightning just really weren't ready for it.
Yeah, if you just look at the bare naked stats, you're like, this game doesn't really make sense. Like, how did it turn into a 7-3 game? Like, the Lightning outshot them. It seemed like they had the puck a lot more throughout the back half of the game, even in the first period. Like, it was just, some good rush chances and just some fluky-ish goals that got past Vasilevsky, 3-on-3 shots. And it was a hard watch. But when you actually, watch the game and look at the game, it wasn't competitive at all. Like, you were chasing the entire game, and you made it close in that first period. You're down only 1 goal in that first period, but you also take a step back and look, you're down 1 goal, but it's a 4-3 game after 20 minutes. It's pretty demoralizing. Like, I would hate to be one of those guys playing that game, because how do you even take yourself seriously? And as much as you don't want to pin it on the goaltender, as much as, there were some fluky goals, the second goal that beat Vasilevsky, a really nasty tip, man, like it's really hard to defend him as well. And just for the rest of the game, just chasing it, and it kept getting further and further away. I think as the game went on, they just weren't looking as good. Yeah, high volume of shots, but there wasn't much of anything of quality. I said it to a buddy of mine. I said, like, we're losing this game. Like, I know it's the Rangers on the road, the best team in the world, Rangers on the road. But I did not know it would be this bad. This was a hard watch, all 60 minutes of it.
Yeah, .615 save percentage for Vasilevsky. That sounds like I was going to call out what our face-off percentage was. No, that's how many he shot, or he stopped 8 of the 13 shots that he saw.
Vasilevsky was pulled in this game as well, which is another rare thing that you don't see John Cooper do a lot. I mean, Vasilevsky literally fell over on one of the goals. I don't know what on earth happened on that one, but yeah, just an off night. I don't know what it was, but just a mess from the goaltending perspective. Nothing really went right, even though the Lightning did, like you said, Matt, outshoot them. Other couple of notes from this game, too. Power play, the Lightning go 0 for 3. That's been a major issue. We've talked about it. We'll talk about it more this week. The penalty kill, though, they were good. They were 2 for 3, and they did score a shorthanded goal. So, hey, that was nice. It helped the Lightning get back into it a little bit. That was some good news there. Also, we had a first goal as a member of the Lightning for Scott Saborian. So congratulations to him. He was really – that fourth line with Curtis Douglas, and I'm blanking on the fourth one right now. Help me out here, guys.
Jack Finley.
Jack Finley, thank you. They have been fantastic. And again, we'll get into them more in a couple of the later games, but wow. That was probably the one bright spot out of that game. That fourth line is really making some waves right now.
Yeah, that Scott Sabourin goal, I definitely did not expect that shot to come off of his stick. Like, this is a 33-year-old undrafted guy who's spent 90% of his career in the AHL. Like, and that looked like a top 6 shot right there. It was a snipe, no doubt about it. And like you're saying, Jake, the rest of the fourth line, they've been playing really good, just meshing well together for the limited time they get the ice. That and the shorthanded goal, I think that was our first one of the year. I mean, the lone bright spots of this game, and take that for what you will. You got to take, some positives out of this game, but even still, just a terrible watch.
That fourth line, by the way, an increasing order of height. Sabourin, 6'3" tall. Up next is Jack Finley at 6'6" tall, and then Curtis Douglas, 6'9" tall. And they can skate. They're not slow. So I mean, that is some monster players to be going up against, and the fact that they're moving their feet, and it's not just if you're on X or Twitter, seeing all the Panther players complaining about the call-ups when half the team is injured. They're putting goals in, and they're not just out there to like injure people or rough them up line. They're actually playing really well together.
I would argue that it's almost going to make it a difficult decision for Cooper once more guys come back like Nick Paul. What do you do with some of those guys? Now, like Jack Finley will more than likely get sent back down, but still, they've all played really well, and they'll be the first call-ups right back up if there are more injury issues that they have to deal with. They've been that good, which has been really, really nice to see. You need those kind of depth scoring guys that come out of almost quote-unquote nowhere to make deep run. The Lightning have some other issues that they have to fix right now, but that's certainly something that's extremely helpful for them right now. Now, rough game against the Rangers. We kind of mentioned it too. Rangers, best team on the road. I don't know. By the way, they lost another game at home again, I think last night. That team needs to be a case study on them right now. They cannot win at home. They cannot. I don't know what's going on with them, but they can win on the road. Lightning then head down to Sunrise to try and bounce back against the Florida Panthers. This was a big game. Joe, you mentioned it last week on the show. This was one circled on the calendars, right, because of all of the extracurricular activities that we had last year, preseason. How was this game going to go? I had some suspicions it was going to be a little bit different just because the Lightning were dealing with so many injuries. The Panthers are dealing with a few as well. We did not get a ton of rough stuff. There was a little bit, but the most important thing, Lightning win this one 3-1. And I thought this was a really, really well-played game overall by the Lightning. Felt like they controlled a large majority of it. Again, that fourth line really showed up. Jack Finley scoring on a breakaway, which I love that goal. because not only was it a breakaway goal that was the game-winning goal for the Lightning, but it was his second breakaway, and he made a noticeable adjustment to get that puck in the back of the net. Really great stuff from the Bolts in this one to get the win.
Yeah, you're not going to get as much funny stuff when you've got the staff, the NHL staff that were actually on hand in the building, head of Department of Player Safety, and I think that Gary Bettman may have even been there.
Well, the head of Department of Player Safety is there for every Panthers game. He's a fan, so.
And so I think that they, pretty much got a message sent to them that they didn't want this to devolve into an AHL game or I guess ECHL game where they're just fighting and then play some hockey in between the rounds there. You still saw a few weird things, right? Like the Sam Bennett elbow to Kucherov. I mean that's a pretty solid one, right? Bennett being an angel with that elbow. Yep, to Kuch, what a sweetheart he is. Yeah, but it got mostly his chest. As anyone that's played would know that it's not going to feel good even if he gets some of his chest to get knocked with that hard plastic right into your chin. It's still going to jar you, and a nice cheap shot. But overall, it definitely wasn't what we saw in preseason.
Yeah, and these games mean more. Preseason games are essentially useless. I mean, you saw the Lightning; they went 6-1 or 7-1, however many games there are, and look where we are right now. Sorry, Morgan's kind of excited right now, if you can hear that. No, it was very tame for what I was expecting. I had some friends down in Fort Lauderdale, and they were kind of looking for something to do. I said, you guys should go to the Panthers Lightning game. Like, they're just not even going to bring sticks out onto the ice. Like, it's just going to be a bloodbath. And I was really underestimating how seriously everyone was taking this game. And it was an entertaining game to watch. Like, really, from a coach's perspective, tight checking in that first period and really throughout the whole game. It was a bit of a chess match. I'd say both teams were playing pretty good, but, it really took some, even just small collapses for anyone to capitalize on any of these opportunities. You look at the Jack Finley goal, he had that, half breakaway that he couldn't really capitalize on. The puck kind of skated away from him. And then, he got a little lucky on the actual goal. Still, congratulations to him. But I think it was the defenseman, their, call up who fell down on that play that let him get in alone. Still a great goal to score, but it was just minor mistakes that ended up leading to goals. Even the one goal against, the power play goal for Brad Marchand, it was just a good face-off win by the Panthers and just a quick, nice backhand from Marchand. But the rest of the game, it was just really tight check and not a whole lot of chances for either team against. Obviously, this is the high that I was talking about. You come away with a win. I get, this is the most important win of the week so far. It's the only win of the week, actually. But no, just a good, solid overall game. Like, this is a coach's dream. This is, a fan's dream. You get to beat your in-state rivals that you hate with a passion, and just not a whole lot negative you can say about this game. And you think that they would have rode that momentum.
And still talking about the Panthers game here, the depth scoring I love. You expect that your top guys will show up for you. Braden Point, where are you, bud? But when you've got some depth scoring to help pad those numbers, that's what you need to be able to make deep runs. And all we had was depth scoring. Goals from Gergensons, the first one from Finley being that fourth line putting in a goal. And then, all right, an absolute snipe from Lilleberg with a great pass from Kucherov, and he actually places it this time, top left corner. Just an absolutely great shot from him, and you can see him jumping into the play more and starting to feel more comfortable as well.
He's looked fantastic. He was great in this game to get that first goal for the Lightning. Now, again, one thing you mentioned, Braden Point, Joe. I think part of the issue for Braden Point has been the power play struggles, because he's a big part of that power play. And he got a lot of his goals last year on the man advantage as well. And the power play, again, just has not been good. I mean, it was 0 for 4 in this game. They cannot get any – and a lot of the power plays too, it's not even like, to me anyway, they're generating chances, having a lot of close calls. They just can't get one to go in the back of the net. They'll have one or two chances here and there. But there's a decent amount of power plays that they can't even get in their own zone. It's not great, and I think that's not helping Braden Point by any means. So really need to get that power play going. I think
you need to take him off the power play. I mean, I'm even going to the point of maybe even health bomb him a game or something. Like, take him off the power play is kind of my first idea, because if you take him off the power play, you have to start from scratch. Like, he's the guy that gets you into the zone. He's the guy that takes the puck from the defensive zone through the neutral zone into the zone, the offensive zone, and passes it off. Without him, you have to go back to the drawing board. You have to figure out a new way to get into their zone, and then from everything else, you'll figure it out from there. But he is so ineffective 5-on-5 and on the power play right now. I think, he's one of the biggest detractors on it. Like, there's just nothing good coming off of his stick right now. I'm really upset with him. And yeah, he got an assist in the next game, the Vancouver game, but there's just nothing doing with him right now. And I think if you take him off, or at least put him on power play 2 or something, change up the personnel. I don't know who you replace him with. I don't know what the answer might be, but I've at least got half the solution. Might not even be a solution, but what good is he doing? Not much of anything. So might as well switch it up.
The bad news is, too, they're dealing with so many injuries. It's kind of hard to take him off the power play at this point. Maybe when they get more healthy, because Nick Paul, I think he would slot into that bumper every once in a while when he was last year when he was healthy. So, maybe it's something they could try. They got to do something. Something's got to change. That I do know for absolute certainty. A couple of comments here, but the Lilleberg fan club that we have created it might be a problem, guys.
Eureka was joking that the L in RBLR stands for Lilleberg now.
The Lilleberg Lightning. I love it. Well, great game for the Bolts against the Florida Panthers. They come through, big win, right back on track after what was a just annoying, terrible start from that Rangers game. And then you have the Vancouver Canucks game. Matt, I think you asked this to our chat and said, which was worse, the Rangers or the Vancouver game? I said the Vancouver game, because the Rangers won, like you said, Matt, too. You kind of knew you lost that game from the get-go. Even when they made it close, it was like, all right, this game's already a mess. This is not going well. The Lightning came out, and I thought at least played unbelievable, especially in that first period. Second period, not as much, but still great 40 minutes of hockey. The Lightning were dominating this game. They were getting tons of shots on goals. Not all of them were going in, but they just looked in control. They were skating hard. Everything that they were doing was really, really good. The only shots that were coming for the Vancouver Canucks had come on power plays. That was the biggest issue, that the Lightning couldn't stay out of the box. That's been another overall theme that's been a problem for them this year. But really, really great. And then the third period happens, and just an absolute collapse. The Lightning give up 6 unanswered goals in this game, and they could never – I don't know what happened. The brakes completely fell off. Is it part of that due to them being on a back-to-back? Maybe, but this felt more than that.
I mean, that was a combination of things, really. You got injuries piling up, backside of a back-to-back. And then Vancouver, they're a 500 team right now with that win. They got incredible puck luck, too. Some of the bounces that they got, some of the pucks that they shot, like C&I shots that was through a ton of traffic and happened to hit the post and go in. They got an incredible amount of puck luck, and then it just seems like it completely killed or demoralized the Lightning. I mean, the second period was kind of like a weird period, I thought. Not a whole lot took place on either side. But once the Vancouver started scoring, they put in 3 in like a minute and a half, where I don't know. You mentioned before about a timeout in the game against the Rangers. Probably would have been a good time to take one there just to get a quick shift of momentum. The Lightning weren't able to get back into it after that, though.
It was almost an inverse of the Rangers game. It just gets away from you so quickly, just like that. It hasn't been as bad other games this year, but we've seen that be the downfall in some other games this year. 5 or 10 minutes of just not poor hockey, but bad hockey will completely sink the game when you dominate the rest of the game. And, they did dominate a large chunk of this game. I was at dinner for the first 2 periods of this game, but I am that guy that puts the game on my phone, just, leans it up against a salt shaker or something. And every time I would look down, it's in the Canucks zone. It's in the Canucks zone. We're out shooting them, 10-1, 12-1, whatever it might be. Like every single time I looked down, it was chances or, just shot opportunities, something. And then the second period happened. It was pretty even. And then, of course, when I finally sit down to watch the game, third period, all right, I got my popcorn, it just falls apart. I do not know what happened. And Joe, you said it. There was a lot of puck luck, a lot of dirty bounces, but at the same time, you can't pin, puck luck and dirty bounces on 6 goals or, 5 goals, if you will, one empty netter. But I don't know where this game went wrong, what happened. It was some pretty poor goaltending by Johansson. Again, there were a couple stinkers, a couple nasty tips, another own goal against us. I think I said it in the chat. I think we're at 5 now in this early season where we've put the puck in on our own goalie. And I get that'll happen, but it feels like that number's starting to pile up pretty quick. And it's positional, it's luck, it's bad luck. But man, I don't know where this game went wrong.
So something to kind of note about the Lightning is, except for the game against New Jersey that was in October 11th, that game was a loss 5-3 against New Jersey, and I'm not sure if there's an empty net goal on that. Give me one quick second to check. There was not an empty net goal, so a 5-on-3 loss to New Jersey. Every single other loss that the Lightning has had up to this point has been by 1 goal. So these 2 losses that we're talking about with the Rangers and with Vancouver are notable. They really stand out compared to the rest of the season because they're essentially complete blowouts. And I think the Rangers game played a little bit differently than the Vancouver game. There's a lot of fight back in the Rangers game from the Lightning, where the Vancouver game looks like they, packed up and went home, I would say almost in the second period. That's not a great look for, to end the week. I know there's a lot of injuries, but there's a pretty tight schedule that's coming up. There's games every other day until the end of the month, basically, where you've got a back-to-back, and you end that one with another game against the Rangers. So, like you said, hopefully they can adjust after this one, because the schedule is not going to be easy coming up, and, they got to get on this fresh start, and they only have a day's rest to do it, and they're playing a really hot New Jersey Devils team tomorrow.
And the worst part about this win, too, it's hard to win both games on a back-to-back, and I'm glad we got the big win against Florida, but the worst part about this, letting Vancouver win, is they play Florida tonight, and that's a team that I really hope Vancouver puts on as good or as lucky of a performance against Florida tonight as they did against us.
I think that's what makes this loss so frustrating for me, is because they had it. They were going to win the back-to-back. They looked so good. They played such great hockey. All right back on track just after that Rangers fluke, and then it fell apart in that third period. Man, the third period was insanely tough to watch. Now, granted, these things happen, but this is extra concerning for the Bolts just because they had that bad start to the season. They got a really good streak. They won, 7 of 8, I believe it was. So we know they can play at the high level that we've seen them play for the last few years. They've had just a couple of big bumps. And to your point, Joe, they are now, I believe, not mistaken, a -1 goal differential. They've been positive all season long. So they're back down below in the negative goal differential right now. So that's because of these 2 blowout losses. So hopefully the Lightning can course correct. I have all faith in this team that they can do that. Listen, these are veteran guys. John Cooper has been the longest tenured head coach. He is a fantastic head coach. I don't know why there's a lot of people out there that are kind of on John Cooper a lot recently. I'm not one of those people, but I fully expect them to be able to bounce back. Maybe that's the optimism in me, but hey, that's how I see it right now, and hopefully they'll be able to do that. With this
huge shout out to JJ Moser and Boris Kachuk being the only 2 players that were plus players this game as well. They were both +1. I mean, Kachuk, he didn't really play a whole lot, but JJ Moser just still being an elite defenseman. I'm glad we have him at least not injured right now. And that's another thing too that we kind of mentioned before as well, is we are dealing with a lot of injuries right now. What do we say? 6 guys, 6 starters that are out right now. You can't pin every loss on that, especially, these ones that hurt, but it is a factor. You are missing Brandon Hagel and Anthony Cirelli, 2 amazing penalty killers, and, Victor Hedman and Ryan McDonough, 2 One amazing defenseman and Victor Hedman. So
Wow, man, that's a
I
low
thought you were
blow.
going to go the other way with that and say McDonald was better.
Well, I said one amazing defenseman and Victor Hedman, not
Oh,
in there.
and
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
It's a
Yeah,
low blow. That's a low blow to our captain. But you're not entirely
We're
wrong.
used to it.
It's been a tough season for Victor Hedman right now. Kachuk did get sent down again right before that game against the Canucks because Hagel did return. Hagel came back in that game. Kachuk just got sent down. So hopefully another guy is going to be coming back very soon. I don't know who. A lot of the guys are day to day. We know how the Lightning are with their reporting on injuries. So we should be getting closer. And remember, none of these injuries when they were initially happened were major out for long periods of time. Paul's been the longest one because he's been out since the start of the season. And even he is supposedly close to be returning. So that's the good news for the Lightning is that this shouldn't be a long-term thing. And maybe that's part of the spark that they're going to need to get back on track here. But with that said, tough when you look at the wins losses. Lightning only win one game this week, especially off that back-to-back and how great they were playing in that Vancouver game. But right now, they're still sitting right in the middle of the standings right now. They're not completely out of it by any means. And, they've got a lot of games in hand. As Joe mentioned, they're going to be playing some of those games and some good teams coming up here. But let's look at who really stood out this week with the 3 stars of the week, guys. And I know people are going to be excited about this one. We saw some of the comments already, but let's start with our number 3 star of the week. He was a guy that had a lot of hate early on, and Joe, you started talking a lot about him. You've created a fan club, and guys, I'm happy to report he's on the list. He's the 3rd star of the week, Emil Lilleberg. He was fantastic. Great stuff for him, and a fantastic goal off that pass from Nikita Kucherov. 1 goal for 1 point this week and was a +1.
An incredible snipe, like I said. You're starting to see that shooting ability come from him. In the Vancouver game, he was out for a minus. He was a -1, and that was really kind of off of a bad turnover by Kucherov trying to do a funky pass, and it was hard to recollect and gain his for Lilleberg to gain his guy. But otherwise, he's doing a fantastic job on the defensive side of the puck. Even in the Rangers game, he was even. So he's playing really well defensively, and you're starting to see some offensive upside. I'm glad that he's able to showcase it quite a bit because a number of haters that have been online trying to blame the entire organizational woes on one guy definitely wasn't justified. And I kind of did it more or less just to go against the grain when I was pointing out that Lilleberg wasn't that bad, but he's actually turning me into a legit fan if he keeps up this pace. So good on him.
You've got Bogosian and I've got Bogosian, you've got Lilleberg, but no, Lilleberg's actually he's turning everyone. Like he actually did play really, really well this week, and to end up a +1 after this week we just had 2 blowout losses. I mean, that says a lot right there. And I know you don't put a whole lot of stock in a plus-minus, but still, in a small sample size, you do that. And it's taken Braden Point going to sleep, his game just going to sleep for Lilleberg's to really come out. But, man, I guess those guys can't be good at the same time. But, again, he's just been playing rock solid steady recently, and he's got the goals and, even a couple assists to prove it as well. And, like, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago where he had that kind of ish fluky goal. He didn't really put it where he wanted to. He made up for it with a beautifully placed snipe and a great play. So I'm just glad to see that he's actually making this list unironically. The only thing I have is it should have been the number 1 star. I thought that's what we were going with.
Well, Ben agrees with you. It would have been the 4 star of the season, he said. I don't know if he meant week player, but hey, listen.
I think you know what he meant.
If he keeps playing the way he has, he'll climb right up that list. You can't just jump up to the number 1 star unless you have an unbelievable week. It's got to be earned here. The stars have to mean something on this show. All right, Leonard Lilleberg gets the number 3 star of the week. Let's go to the number 2 star. And, guys, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think we might have to change the name from Nikita Kucherov's 3 stars of the week because there's a guy that's been on this list a lot more, especially this year and the end of last year, and that's none other than Jake Guentzel. He's back on here at the number 2 star of the week. Guentzel, 2 goals for 2 points and was a +1. like we were with Kucherov last year, I'm almost running things out to say about Jake Gensel. He has just been an absolutely fantastic player for the Lightning. He is just the guy they needed to really help them especially when they lost a couple of their big players.
Turning him into a heck of a defensive player too, with Cirelli and Hagel out right now. Like, he'll get some reps on the penalty kill, but he's kind of the guy right now, or one of the guys. So, and he's getting rewarded with it with a shorthanded goal. And he's one of those guys, just kind of like Brandon Hagel. They play very differently, but it seems like the give a F meter every night is always at 100. He's one of those guys that just does not take nights off. And like you're saying, Jake, we've beat this horse to death. Like, what more can we say about Jake Gensel that hasn't been said? But you just got to give him, credit for his motor, his just willingness and ability to play. He just does not take nights off, and he's being rewarded. He's been the most consistent player this year as well. So I will not be shocked if he just keeps earning, a spot on this list every week.
Yeah, and if you get Braden Point to, start playing better, you'll see him, Jake Gensel, play better as well. He's just shy of a point per game pace right now with 18 games played and 17 points. And in my opinion, he's basically doing that with only half a line that he's playing with, because Kucherov has been so hit or miss, and then Braden Point, we've seen a flash of him. So, he's doing a whole lot without as much help as some of the other guys. I think he's got 3 goals from getting to the front of the net and getting tips. Of his 8 goals, so he's getting into hard to beat areas. You'll never see Kucherov get a tip-in goal. That's not what he'll ever really do. That's a tough place to be, and he's not afraid to get in there and keeps playing like he's playing. It's every single reason why we wanted him on the team.
Well, he's been fantastic, and he's a well-deserved second star of the week. Hopefully he can keep it up, and then if he can keep it up, and then you can get Point and Kucherov more consistently, look out. This team can get really hot, and that's what we need right now. So good stuff from Jake Gensel. All right, time for the number 1 star of the week. And I know some of you were disappointed Emil Lilleberg wasn't the number 1 star, but I think they're going to like this one. And for the number 1 star, it's a guy that has really come out of nowhere this year. He was on the team last year late and as an acquisition and was decent, but boy, has he been good. 2 goals this week. It is none other than Zemgus Lilleberg, who gets the number 1 star of the week. He has been absolutely fantastic. Love to see a guy like this really starting to break out and feel comfortable here in Tampa Bay.
I saw an interview with him. I think it may have even taken place last season, but he's from Latvia, and they're asking him about his first name, Zemgus. Like, where's that from? Is that, a popular name in Latvia? He's like, no, it's a strange name in Latvia as well. It didn't really have a great origin story for such a unique name, but with such a unique name, we're getting a pretty unique player, because he's someone that I think a lot of people would write off in terms of what he's going to be able to do offensively at this point in his career. And he's putting up, literally, he's on pace to put up career numbers right now. He's got 4 goals and an assist. His best season was 10 years ago, where he had 15 total goals. So he's, the Latvian locomotive is definitely steaming down the tracks here, and has produced so well for the Bolts since coming back, and been a spark plug for the bottom 6 guys that I didn't think that he had that ability in him. I was writing him off for some of the younger players. So seeing him play this well has been really exciting.
Yeah, taking what we saw last year, he was almost, he was a net neutral. Like, it didn't really do anything great, didn't do anything bad. Like, he was just kind of.
Just to interject, 82 games played, 2 goals, 4 assists on the entire season as a -7.
So he's already matched his season total as a -7. Wow. No, I mean, this year he looks night and day different. I mean, I know it might not last, and even if it doesn't, just the way he plays around the puck and away from the puck, I mean, he's just, an injection of energy into this team. Like, he doesn't play a boring game at all. Like, he'll lay hits, and he laid a big one in this Vancouver game, I think it was. Just a great, gritty guy. And, this is a former All-Star. He might make a case to be the Lightning's All-Star this year. I guess we're not doing the All-Star game this year. Oh, wow. Zemgus is going to get scammed again, but No, I mean, it's crazy that he's making this list at all, but I also really like the fact that he's making this list because it means he's just improving. He's playing the right way. He does everything almost, very, very, very well. He's not a net neutral anymore. He is a blatant, objective, net positive on this team. And I just pray that he continues to play this way. And it seems like he's kind of reverting back to form. He was always an effective player in Buffalo. He was just in Buffalo for his entire career. So there's not a whole lot he was able to do. And, if he's just a third, fourth line guy and he continues to play this way, he's quickly, earning a spot in my hall of good for the Lightning of just, mediocre guys that I just unabashedly love. Again, he was a joke of a player to me last year. Like, he's a guy that I still kind of joke about with, but he's turning himself into just quite the effective forechecking, hard, gritty, third, fourth line grinder that this team really needs right now. And it earned him the first star of the week.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Girgensons, and hopefully he can continue to only get better from here on out. This is the kind of players you need down on your fourth line, especially when some of your stars are struggling. And if they all can get going at the same time, again, look out. There's a lot of good potential on this team. So there are your 3 stars of the week. It's Emil Lilleberg, Jake Gensel, and Zemgus Girgensons, who gets the number 1 star. Let us know down in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Would you have done something different? We'd love to hear what you guys have to say, as always. But those are our 3 stars. So, well, for the Bolts right now, guys, it's been tough. Couple big things I want to see for next week that they can really improve on, and that's number 1, power play. Got to start scoring on the power play. That's a major issue. They can't do it. There's going to have to be some changes there. Number 2, please stop taking so many darn penalties. There's been too many times in these games where the Lightning have taken like back-to-back penalties and just given all the momentum right back to the team. And a lot of times these opponents are capitalizing and scoring on those power plays, because even when you have a really good penalty kill, if you keep putting them back out there, they're going to give up a goal eventually. That's just the way it goes. So those are my 2 biggest things that I'd really like to see them improve on, is the power play and stop taking so many darn penalties. And I think they'll be in a much better spot if they can do those 2 things.
I have a third thing that I want to see, and I want to see more RBLR merchandise inside the arena. Jake, where can the people get it?
You can get that over on shop.rblrsports.com. Don't forget, you can use code BOLTS to get 10% off your order as well. Lightning, Rays, Bucks, Rowdies, Sun, inspired merch. You name it, we got it. Be sure to go check it out. Pick up yourself some new merch here in the middle of the season. Fantastic job. I love that plug. That was great. I didn't have to do it this time. Links, as always, are in the description. Grab a cool t-shirt, help support the show. We really do appreciate it. So one more thing from Ben here. He has as a 4th thing. He wants to really see Point wake up and really get going. Yeah, everybody would love that. Love to see Hedman get going and start playing, the way he has in the past. Well, granted, he's hurt right now. He needs to get back on the ice for that to even happen. But all right, let's look at the schedule here for the Bolts specifically after those things that we'd like to see them improve on. Here's the teams they're going to have to do it against. Up next, it's the New Jersey Devils here at Benchmark International Arena on Tuesday the 18th. That game at 7 p.m. Eastern. Interesting game because the Devils, who were the hottest team in the NHL to start the season, they were unbelievable. Still a very, very good record for the Devils right now. Are they the top team?
Probably in the East, maybe.
Yeah, they're tied for second in the league with the Stars. Avalanche have the most points, but in the East they've got 27 points in 18 games played. For reference, the Lightning also have 18 games played.
There you go. So they're playing really great hockey even still. They are dealing with a big injury, though. Jack Hughes, who is not going to be playing in this game. Nobody knows what happened to him at this point. It's a really weird story. Some injury happened off the ice, and he's going to be out for a little bit. So that is a big factor for this game. After the Devils, Lightning will take on the Edmonton Oilers on Thursday, the 20th. That game at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus and Hulu. And we're going to get to see the return of Isaac Howard. Oh, wait. No, we're not. He got sent down.
I'm kind of upset because I'd love to go to that game and boo him, but he's going to be playing in Bakersfield. So,
yeah, for those that don't know, Isaac Howard sent back down to the AHL with the Edmonton Oilers. So, that's probably a little disappointing that you really wanted to play hockey and threw a fit, and well, look where you are now. But nonetheless, Lightning will take on the Edmonton Oilers and Connor McDavid. And then on Saturday, they're going to head up to Washington to take on the Capitals. That game at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then on Monday, we'll figure out if we're going to do a show on Monday or we'll just do a little bit early, maybe before the game, maybe a little pregame show for you guys. On the 24th, they'll take on the Philadelphia Flyers back at home here at Benchmark International Arena at 7 p.m. Eastern. So there's your look ahead for the Bolts. Again, that is Devils, Edmonton, Washington, and Philadelphia coming up for the Bolts here. 3 of those games at home.
It seems like it's been a decade since I've had to say this, but shockingly, the biggest game this week is going to be the one against the Flyers. They've got a very similar record to us. They've been playing well above their weight class. It seems like the Lightning have been playing below their weight class, but they're kind of close together in the standings right now. And it seems like it's going to be a big game. They've been a well-coached team so far this year. It still sounds like weird and alien for me to say a big game against the Flyers. And it seems like those games are always really weird. Like they never end like a normal 3-2 game or something like that. They're always just really weird games. And they're really front loading these Capitals games. I'm starting to feel like you, Jake. I'm getting sick of seeing those red jerseys.
I couldn't agree more. I'm sick and tired. I've been sick and tired of them since the day that I became a hockey fan. But hey, what do I? Hey, listen, last time the Lightning played, Alex Ovechkin never even scored a goal. So maybe this is a spark they need help to get back on track.
And in terms of these games, man, this Jersey game, I want to see the guys hang in there. I just don't want any of these 4 to get away from the team. You know, if you're going to lose a game, lose it by a goal, make it nice, tight, and gritty. But really, I mean, I almost feel like the team's kind of biding their time until the injuries start, the injured players start coming back around, because this isn't an easy schedule, man. You know, all these teams can be pretty explosive coming up for this next week. So it's one of those first weeks in a while where I feel like I'm holding my breath to see what's going to end up happening for them.
Yeah, if you're going to lose a game, lose it to the Western Conference team with the best player in the world. Like, this is right now. It's time to get right. There's some teams in the Atlantic and in the West in general that are kind of starting to fall. You've really got to make up some ground here. I really hope this isn't the Oilers' get right game either. They've had a really shaky start, but it seems like that's kind of their patented signature move, is just start out crap and just steamroll for the rest of the year. I really hope this isn't the turning point for them, but all of these are really big games. I still do think that the Philly game is going to be kind of the biggest. It's the one you're closest to right now. Not that, New Jersey's too far ahead to really be a threat or anything, but all of these are big games. How many are they all at home? I know we've got a long homestand.
The Washington game is on the road.
Okay. And the Oilers game is a 7:30 start on Thursday on ESPN Plus. Everything else will be on the Spot.
Cool.
Which, by the way, the Spot, nothing. No complaints. It's definitely way better than FanDuel. We're like quarter of the way into the season, so can't really complain. Still not on every streaming service, but they are on a few more. I feel like everything else is getting a little bit better. So
I've got like minor complaints, but it's nothing even worth complaining to you guys about. Like, it's just tiny stuff. So I'm safely say I am satisfied with it so far.
I have some minor complaints. I'm not going to sit here. Nobody wants to hear them, but I've got a couple little ones. But overall, it's been nice. So that's been a positive for the Bolts. So hopefully next week, guys, we're going to be talking about a lot of Lightning wins. Let's be bold. How about a sweep? That would be really nice. So they can win all these games. That may be a little unrealistic, but that's going to do it for us in this episode. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in once again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications. Follow us on social media at RBLR Sports, at RBLR Lightning, so you know when we do go live to talk about more Lightning hockey. Hit that share button if you did enjoy this video. It really helps us out, and we always do appreciate it. With that said, we'll talk to you guys in the next one. Go Bolts!
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.